Stop. Don't scroll. Just stay here for 10 seconds. No setup, no backstory. Close your eyes. Seriously, close them. And think of a specific moment, not a fact, not a year from school, a moment. Maybe it's the smell of rain hitting hot pavement in summer. Maybe it's a kitchen where someone you loved used to cook. Maybe it's the last time you laughed so hard it hurt. Maybe it's a hospital room. Maybe it's a door closing on a day you never fully understood. Hold it there. Now open your eyes. You didn't move, not an inch in space. And yet, you just traveled through time. That wasn't just imagination. It wasn't just memory. That was your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Because your brain is not a passive observer sitting inside your skull, watching time pass like a bored traveler at a station. Your brain is something far stranger than that. It rebuilds the past. It simulates the future. It stitches together the present so convincingly that you mistake the construction for reality. That's the machine you're running right now. And once you really understand what kind of machine it is, you can't unsee it. Let's start with something simple. The clock on your wall tells time one way. Your brain tells time a completely different way. A mechanical watch is clean, precise. Inside it, something oscillates, say a quartz crystal, vibrating 32,768 times per second. Count those vibrations and you get time, tick by tick, perfect repetition. So ask yourself, does your brain do that? Is there some tiny master clock deep in your skull ticking away like a Swiss watchmaker? Not really. Your brain doesn't measure time by counting ticks. It measures time by change. It moves through patterns, shifting, evolving, transitioning from one state to another. And those changes themselves become the measure of time. Think of an hourglass. No ticking, no numbers, just sand moving from one chamber to another. The passing of time isn't measured by the hourglass. The passing of time is the hourglass. And that's much closer to how your brain works. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your brain has to solve timing problems across wildly different scales. When a sound happens to your right, it reaches your right ear slightly before your left by a few hundred microseconds. Microseconds, millionths of a second. And yet your brain detects that tiny difference and uses it to locate the sound in space. Now zoom out. Your body knows when to sleep, when to wake, when to release hormones, when to feel alert or tired. That's not microseconds. That's a 24-hour cycle. Same brain, from millionths of a second to entire days to years of memory and anticipation. That's not one clock. That's a whole civilization of clocks running inside your head. There is a kind of master clock for your daily rhythm. It sits deep in your brain, in a region with one of the most dramatic names in neuroscience, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And its location matters. It sits right above where your optic nerves cross, meaning it's directly connected to light. Your internal sense of time depends on the sun. Take sunlight away, put someone in a cave or a sealed room, and their internal clock starts to drift, slowly at first, minutes per day. But over time, it falls out of sync with the planet, which means something profound. Even knowing what time it is not passive. It's a negotiation between your biology and the sun. Your brain is in constant conversation with a star. Now let's move closer to everyday experience. Take a simple sentence. They gave a cat food. Now shift the pause. They gave a cat food. Same words, same sounds, different meaning. What changed? Timing. The pauses, the rhythm, the spacing between sounds. Your brain isn't just decoding language, it's decoding time embedded inside language. Meaning lives in the intervals. Now think about music. A rhythm builds. Da, da, da. Before the fourth beat even arrives, your brain is already predicting it. And when it lands exactly where expected, there's a small sense of satisfaction. But when it's delayed, held back for just a fraction of a second, you feel tension. Surprise, pleasure. That's not just hearing, that's prediction. And prediction is a form of time travel. Your brain is constantly reaching into the future, generating possibilities, and comparing them to the present. Every song you've ever loved is a conversation between expectation and surprise. This brings us to a powerful idea. Mental time travel. This is your ability to project yourself backward into memory and forward into imagination. Not just recalling facts, but re-experiencing moments. Not just guessing the future, but simulating it in detail. Most animals live close to the present. They plan, yes, they adapt, but humans seem to do something deeper. We build detailed internal worlds across time, and that ability changed everything. Think about agriculture. You plant a seed and walk away. Weeks pass, nothing happens. You trust that months later food will grow. That requires belief in a future you cannot see. It requires holding a chain of cause and effect across time with no immediate feedback. That's mental time travel. And civilization is built on it. Savings accounts, education, relationships, laws, architecture. All of it depends on acting now for outcomes far in the future. But there's a catch. Your brain didn't evolve for long-term planning. It evolved for immediate survival. Food, danger, social bonds. So when modern life asks you to care about things decades away, retirement, climate change, long-term health, it's asking an ancient system to run a very new program. And sometimes it struggles. At some point in human evolution, something extraordinary happened. A mind became capable of projecting far enough into the future to imagine its own death. That's a threshold, because death isn't just a biological fact, it's a temporal one. You become psychologically mortal the moment your imagination can outrun the present. That may be the true cost of mental time travel. It gave us science, art, cities, music, and it gave us dread. The 3 a.m. moment when the future doesn't feel like possibility, but like a wall. Across cultures, humans have responded to this in similar ways. We build meaning, stories, beliefs about continuation, not necessarily because we're weak, but because a time-traveling mind needs somewhere to go when the future becomes overwhelming. Now let's break another assumption. You probably think memories are stored, like files in a cabinet. That remembering is like pressing play. It isn't. Memory is not retrieval. It's reconstruction. Each time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments, shaped by your current mood, your later experiences, who you've become. That's why memories change, why two people recall the same event differently, why childhood spaces feel larger in memory, why some moments stay vivid while others disappear. The past you carry is not fixed. It's alive. And here's the twist. The system that builds memories is the same system that builds the future. When you imagine tomorrow, your brain uses pieces of yesterday. The future is assembled from the past, which means when you worry, you're constructing a future out of old parts. Now consider this. You see someone speaking across a room. Their lips move. You hear their voice. It feels perfectly synchronized, but it isn't. Light reaches your eyes faster than sound reaches your ears. The signals arrive at different times. Your brain edits them, merging them into a single moment. Your experience of reality is stitched together. Sometimes the stitching fails. In the McGurk effect, you hear one sound, see another, and your brain invents a third. Not because reality changed, but because your brain negotiated it. You are not seeing the world as it is. You are seeing the best version your brain can construct. Now we reach the deepest question. Physics tells one story about time. Your brain tells another. In physics, time may not flow at all. Past, present, and future might all exist together. But your experience is different. You feel time moving. You feel the past behind you, the future ahead. So which is real? Maybe both are. Physics describes the universe at its largest scale. Your brain describes the scale of lived experience, the one that matters for survival, for meaning, for being human. So is your brain the only time machine that actually exists, possibly, because physical time travel, going back changing events, seems increasingly unlikely. But mental time travel, that works perfectly, constantly. You revisit the past, you rehearse the future, you change your present because of both. And maybe that's enough. Because what would you really want from a time machine? To learn from the past? To prepare for the future? To revisit something lost? Your brain already does all of that, imperfectly, emotionally, powerfully. So here's the simplest version of everything we've explored. Your brain doesn't just live in time. It constructs the time you experience. It rebuilds the past. It simulates the future. It stitches the present into something coherent. And inside that process, Your entire life unfolds. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If the past exists nowhere except in minds that can remember it, then when the last mind that remembers something disappears, what exactly is lost? The event, or the only version of it that ever mattered? That's where science becomes philosophy. That's where equations become something closer to poetry. And that's where the time machine in your head becomes impossible to ignore